we talked a lot about the maybe the horizontal issues of things, but I really want to also get vertical on this and talk about some of the other levels of meaning of bread. And we've invited some folks from Bulgaria to join us, first with a video that they've made for us to introduce us to their work, and then we'll have them join us live via Skype afterwards. I met Nadezhda a few years ago when she was doing her doctoral work at Princeton University, and she had just the germ of an idea. She was studying as part of her doctoral thesis was the principles of community building, and that's really what she does. But she also has a passion for bread, and so she was beginning to kind of put the pieces together for what has emerged now as the Bread House Network and Bakers Without Borders, which you'll see the game here. We're going to let her explain it. We're going to put the video on right about now just to get the ball rolling, and then we'll join Nadezhda and Stefan, her husband, live from Sofia, Bulgaria, right after. Here we go.
Hello and welcome to our bread house.
Hello everybody, welcome.
At first sight it might look like it's a standard sourdough artisanal bakery, and it is a bakery. As you can see, we have all kinds of sourdough breads, and my husband Stefan will tell you more about them. I'm Nadezhda and we are the team behind this social business.
We are making 100% sourdough bread with organic flours. This is rye bread, 100% rye bread with dry starter. This is white bread with acorn. This is acorn bread that is ancient grain and it's almost 0% gluten. So we make all of our breads with organic flour and with long cold fermentation and retardation at 8 to 10 degrees for 20-24 hours. You can see all the variety. We make also very nice things for breakfast.
And everything is only with sourdough. Sourdough that Stefan created.
We don't use yeast. We use special type of sourdough that we are making every day, day after day.
His own special ingredient, which we keep secret. Well, the people we've trained, we tell them the secret. But now, what makes our business special? It's not so much the breads, of course, they're standard, but it's this social area. As you can see, we have a communal table where we use unique methods around bread making. And we call these methods bread therapy. They're actually proven by psychologists and social workers as a therapy. As you can see, for example, today we have a group of people with special needs, and what they're doing right now is drawing in flour, and later on they will create a whole story. When they create the dough, they'll make shapes like puppets, and the puppets will become the characters in the theater movies. The method is called theater of crumbs, and it's really a wonderful tool for creativity, developing speech, communication, self-esteem. It's amazing for everybody, but it's especially for people that have some special needs and need further support. Now, what we also do, we offer these therapy methods for free. This is one of our social business causes. But one wonderful thing we do on Saturdays, which is actually my favorite about this social space, is that we have community baking. Then people from the whole community and from all over the city come, and they get mixed here around this table. We have children, adults, elderly people from hospices, social centers, rich and poor, orphans. Imagine people from all walks of life come together and they feel as one. It might sound utopic, but believe me, it is true. And it happens very easily because bread is such a wonderful tool. It's so simple, but at the same time, it opens up your creativity. It's almost like sculpture. It's like clay. You can shape, you can create all kinds of forms, and then of course you can draw, as you can see very beautifully. You can draw. But now, there's even a longer story behind this bread therapy method. And by the way, you can find more about it on the website breadtherapy.net. People all around the world now use it. We've trained so many therapists, psychologists in it. Now, I'll tell you more the story behind all of it. It's long. It's 7 years ago. Part of the story is in these photos, but I'll show you this one because this is the first that tells why we chose the name Bread House. And this is taken in Bethlehem. And I discovered when I was there that the name means bread house, house of bread. And I thought to myself, well, bread is a symbol of peace universally, but the city of Bethlehem is full of war and hatred. So can there be a way to use bread as a way to unite people, to build peace? And I was sure there is a way, and I found it. I'll take you in the production area and I'll tell you about all the different people we've trained and that have come to our place. So this is not just a production area, as I told you, it is a training center as well. What happened is that for 7 years I traveled around the world, actually 77 countries, quite a lot. My doctorate was at Princeton University. I'm an anthropologist, and that's why I traveled to so many diverse, unique places where few people have been. Small tribes in South Africa, India, Ethiopia, you name it. And National Geographic even then called me a traveler of the year with a mission because of all these travels and all these unique stories I collected. But what happens?
You can find the stories.
Exactly. I realized that it's very difficult to travel, especially now we have a baby and we're expecting a second baby. And people do come here to get trained, but it's also expensive for them. So Stefan, I have to brand him with the idea. He had the idea that we can summarize all of these methods into a game, something like a game. And we did create this tool, we call it Bakers Without Borders, an educational game. And inside it has 3 booklets and a board. You play the game on 2 sides. So it's both a game and a handbook. And any of you, any baker, any community worker can use this. We can ship it. It's easy, it's cheap, and can immediately start a program like ours, community baking and bread therapy.
And it's more ecological. Instead of traveling and wasting fuel, you
Exactly.
just buy the game.
Stefan is an
At a cheap
ecologist
price.
and ecopedagogist. Now, what we believe the future of bread is that we all have to unite around this wonderful tool. And that's why we created 2 other global platforms. One is bakerswithoutborders.net, precisely for all these people we have trained and all the ones that are starting to use the game. And also bakerieswithoutborders.net, because we believe any bakery can be a bakery without border, without walls. It can unite people of all walks of life and can always find a small community section in the bakery where to put up a table and to start such a program. Or even on a day that the bakery doesn't work, you can open up the production area and can have groups come and meet and use the methods simply to inspire people to find our shared humanity around this beautiful, beautiful symbol and tool that is bread. And I'm sure you all know it. Once you touch the dough, it's your favorite for a lifetime.
Even babies from 1 year and a half, 2 years are coming and having fun with their mothers.
Yes, and our own baby too. It's her favorite thing to play with. And the most recent website we created, platform, is called lovens.net, because we also believe that even just a community oven can become the center of a community. So if you don't have a bakery, or you just want to create something in your local park,
You can find all
you
of
can
our
build
know-how
a
here
bread
in
hut.
this game.
Exactly, you can just create an oven, not even a bakery, and then unite the community around it with these simple methods. That's what we believe the future of bread is, and we simply want to help anyone who wants to start something social. Just ask us, write to us, we are here to help you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, and we're going to put Nadezhda up live on Skype, and Stefan, there's Stefan behind her, together. What a great team. I hope can you see us? Nadezhda, can you see us? Okay, they're waving to you. Can you see us?
Yes.
All right. So, one of the opening talk of our symposium was that the future of bread is found in its past. And you touched on it when you were talking at the end about ovens and building ovens and bread at the center of the community. And in a sense, it's kind of an old and ancient idea that you're now showing can actually have relevance in the modern world today. And so can you just speak a little bit about that? Then I'm going to let the audience ask questions of you two, okay? And by the way, we have the games that you sent us here, and we're going to make some of them available to audience members who would like to take them back and start to play with them and work with it. Okay, but talk a little bit a little bit more about the vision.
Sure. I thought anything related to bread can actually live without borders. And I started noticing that there is almost like a movement of people being inspired to build wood-fired ovens, not just bake bread at home in a regular standard stove, but feeling the touch of fire. It really is something primal. And I had a student at university who said, this must have been the TV of the past, the fire. Because when you
Amen.
look at fire, you get quiet, you just feel peace and love. And people talk. When they're in front of the fire, they talk. So if you have a community baking around the community oven, even if it's in your own home, you can just open up your home and invite all of your neighbors to come and bake with you. Definitely it will inspire conversations. It will be a unifying center. And that's why we use the word focus, which was the Roman word for fire, which precisely now we use as a centering space, right? The center, something that unites many things in it. So that's our vision. And I've collected many stories around ovens from around the world. I've personally built with people ovens in, for example, Italy, in a very poor neighborhood. It was in an immigrant area, and it really helped build the community. I mean, it's something so wonderful and so simple. And I just want to add one more thing, that at Princeton, we created what we call the mobile bread house. And it is literally a small structure. It looks like a house on wheels, but it's just the size of a trailer. And inside, we have a press that out of mud, you create bricks immediately, just in front of you. It's called mud brick press. You can Google it. And we built such an oven in a poor area in Trenton, New Jersey, one of the poorest in the United States. And it was, again, a wonderful experience. And Princeton students keep using the mobile bread house and this vision of building community ovens. So if any one of you in the audience has a story about a community oven, or you want to build one, just send us. We'll feature you on the website. And the more stories we put together, the more we can inspire people.
And the website and links are all in your program, both on the app and in the printed program, so you can communicate directly. I'm going to ask the audience to put up hands for anyone who may have questions for you. And while I'm looking for hands and passing out the mic, let me ask one more question. If Stefan or yourself could talk a little bit more about the game. How do you actually use the game Bakers Without Borders as a therapeutic tool?
Yes, actually, what we're very happy is that it's very easy for people to use it. We were hoping that we made it as simple and self-explanatory as possible. For example, we have a German man who bought it from Dresden, Germany, and immediately he started organizing community baking events with it, because it includes the methods, but in a game format. So you can play it at home, but then you can really organize the community baking, real, hands-on, with theater, with music, with all our artistic methods. And he's now also going to do it as a business. So he will do both free events for disadvantaged groups and a social business, the same way we do it in Bulgaria.
Is that your daughter in the background that we're hearing?
Yes, unfortunately.
That's all right. That's the next generation. Yeah, bring her to the camera. The audience wants to see her.
Well, the bakers are not good babysitters.
That's great. But keep going with your answer.
I'm sorry, yeah.
You were talking about the game, but because the game is more than just one game. There we go. All right, the star. And tell everybody what her name is.
Lyubov, which means love.
Ah, perfect. Hi, Luba.
So I was just saying that it's really great that it can be used by any one of you. So if people who want to be art therapists, they do come to get trained in Bulgaria for a fee that's much more expensive than the game because we train them for 3 days in all the methods. They're actually 10. But those who don't need a certificate to be art therapists or social workers, they can just get the game, and it's really easy to organize such community events, not so therapeutic, but it's really community building ones. So anyone in the audience that's interested could order it, and really, I think it's quite easy to do what we do.
And the instructions are in the box in the game, so that it explains more. It's just more than one game. There's a couple of different games in there, right?
Yes, there are 3 books, and each book is a game, but actually think of it also as a handbook. One is a handbook of how to do the theater of crumbs, our main method, which includes making puppets, drawing in flour, creating stories. It's extremely fun. Then there's another method, which is kitchen music, and then you create poems and then a whole song with only kitchen instruments, sifts and wooden spoons and anything you use for baking. And then there's a third game, which is about social business, how to create a social business bakery. Social bakery, what I mean is either you hire disadvantaged groups or you do a lot of free things in the community, anything that helps kind of have a bigger impact beyond just selling your bread. So it's like a monopoly. You teach young generations how to create social businesses.
Now, I can keep asking questions, but I want to see if there's anyone. Put your hands up if you want the mic, and I'll pass it to you. But so far, no. The audience has suddenly become very shy. But I'm not. So I'm going to ask some more questions. When I first met you, you were still doing your doctoral work, but you already had the idea, the seed idea for the bread house concept or the bread house network. Can you talk more about what the bread house is and the bread house network, and how is it growing?
Yes, you saw one of our bread houses. It's a mix of a bakery and a community center. And that's actually what we want to franchise. We have 2 of them now in Sofia. And it's wonderful because the sales of the bread are the ones that support the rent, the electricity, all the costs. And then we can really do things for free. We can have a person who can do all the training, the bread therapy with people with disabilities for free. We also have paid services. We have team building for companies, which is really unique. And we do have a lot of clients, corporate clients. So that's a good income for us. We do also work a lot with schools, and they also pay. So another paid service. We use some of the same methods, but a little modified for this paid services. And so this is the vision of the franchise, the bakery plus the social center. But we have 6 other bread houses in Bulgaria, which are just community social centers. They're in buildings that the municipality has given us, for example, for free because we do a lot of social work, mainly social work. So think of it also as just a community social center or even a specific center for people with disabilities who come all day long, like a day center. And then you have a program within it that's called the bread therapy program. We have such 8 physical spaces in Bulgaria. And in the other countries, we have now more than 20 countries on 6 continents where we have people that we've trained and they have programs. They do what we do, but in different spaces. Some have their own rented space, but some do it in community, in festivals, in parks, whenever they organize something in a place they find, YMCA, for example. So that's how the network grows. It doesn't even have to be a physical space. It sounds like a physical space, but it doesn't have to be.
And it seems like a concept like this has great implications for, say, third world countries and other continents like Africa and places where there are communities that are impoverished and could use hard skills and therapy as well. What are your plans for expanding into the other countries and continents? And how about here in the United States?
Yes, exactly. Well, for example, we had a man who came from Brazil to get trained in our methods, but also in our recipes. And I think he's still fundraising. I have to check with him by email to open a bakery in a poor area in Brasilia, the capital of Brazil. And he precisely saw it as a really great tool to try to fight with all the drug problems that they have. He said, if you can get these young people engaged in bread making, it's such a great thing. It's physical at the same time, it's enjoyable. It drains you. You don't have much energy afterwards to do stupid things, but at the same time, it inspires you. So he thought bread making could be really such a great thing for low income areas with a lot of drug problems with young people. That's what he will try to do. And he will use these artistic methods too, because you have to inspire them. It's not just come and let's make bread to sell, but come, let's play, let's imagine stories, let's play music. Um, that's what we're hoping will soon open up in Brazil. Also in India, we were very recently in India because the game won an award. It's called the Intercultural Innovations Award of the United Nations. It's a global award for things that promote intercultural dialogue. And in India, there was a huge interest. A lot of organizations were interested in what we do because they think in the ghetto areas, in the biggest ghettos in India, bread is the main food people eat. Actually, it's not rice, it's bread. Maybe people don't know this, but it is bread, naan, chapati, you name it. And making this bread can be really, even in just a community oven like we talked about, not even a bakery, could be a wonderful community center to talk with people about even just simple things like hygiene, talking with the children about that and helping them prevent disease. So a lot of NGOs thought that they could use our methods for community education.
We have one person in attendance here who traveled the furthest for this symposium from Mumbai. Well, where there you are. And so I'm going to give you. Would you like one of these games to take back? Do you think? Yeah, we're going to give her one of the games to take back
Great.
to Mumbai, and then maybe you guys can stay in touch because it's a great. So and we've had people come here from as far away as New Zealand. We have New Zealanders here. We have people from Australia, from Sydney, Australia. We have and from Canada and any other countries. Any Germany? Well, of course we have Germany here. Yeah, right on the dais. So we have a lot of global participants here, and
Great.
and so what do you see? The long term implications of the work that you're doing. Where do you and do you have kind of a rollout plan, so to speak, for implementing this?
Well, since I'm planning to have more and more babies,
Good.
I really hope that the game will be the main tool. But honestly, the good news is that people are so mobile, and we call them crumbassadors or
Ambassadors.
bakers. We play a lot with words, and I just believe in people. I've seen how one person can really make a difference. I'm not someone who believes, you need a huge organization or, as I said, even a bakery. It really works if you just have the desire to unite people. The methods are so wonderful. To be honest, I just feel them as a gift of God. I don't even know how I came up with them. They're both simple but inspiring. So, person by person, I really hope one day each community would have a crambassador, and out in the park or in front of the YMCA or in the basketball court, they'll build a community oven, and people will just bake together and be happy, because honestly it's so simple to find that we are all humans. It doesn't matter what color we are, it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Around baking, people remind themselves that we are all made of the same dough. And really,
Love it. Thank you. That's beautiful.
that keeps inspiring me to do what I do, and Stefan too.
Yeah, in fact.
Sorry, as all women, I don't let the men talk.
well, we see that Stefan has the baker's shirt on. So let me just throw out another question. You've only had this particular house going for a while, what, a year or a year and a half, the current program. But have you had a chance to see any baking talent emerge? People who could carry this on and actually run and operate a profitable bakery in Sofia, where you are, or in other places?
Yes, that's actually the good news. We started inspiring a lot of people in Bulgaria to open up sourdough bakeries, because in our country, communism killed community baking. All the small bakeries shut down, and communists built huge factories. Probably those who come from Germany know what happened in East Germany. Huge, factories. Now the small business is coming back, and especially sourdough. So we've trained a few people, and some of them also want to try to have the social element inside the bakery. It's hard. At the beginning, you have to just sell and be able to pay your bills. and then you can afford to have at least once a week the free community baking events and the therapy. But it works after the first year.
So you actually have some people who kind of are taking to the craft of baking and see it
Yes.
as a full-time livelihood for themselves.
Yes, exactly. And for example, there's an organization that works with people with former addictions, especially drug addictions. And now we are training them to open their own bakery. They just see it as a wonderful both therapy and business for their beneficiaries. So even organizations come to get trained to open their own bakeries, social bakeries afterwards.
I know
Yep.
that one of the topics that's come up here a lot is the farm and bakery connection, the growers and the millers and all the whole link. Are you working also with bakeries? I mean, with millers and farmers to expand what you're doing?
Yes, yes, exactly. For example, the einkorn that we use comes from a small farmer who created his farm precisely because now there's about not 10, but let's say 20 bakeries like ours in Bulgaria. So 20 bakeries in the whole country produce only sourdough, and that's enough for one farmer to, sustain a good organic farm of einkorn. See, things happen slowly, but the more demand there is, of course, there will be more supply. So, yes, yes, we try. We try to only find such small farmers for all our flowers.
And we have a question from the audience for you, Lynn.
Hi, I'm Lynn Carson. How are you?
Hi.
Do you have a crumb ambassador in Portland, Oregon?
No.
Well,
Would you like to be one?
yes, I'm the CEO of Bakerpedia, and we partner very closely with the Wheat Marketing Center. They have few ovens there where I believe I can convince them to open it up to the community. So yeah, we'll get a board game and we'll be your official crumb ambassadors in
All
Portland,
right.
Oregon.
You got your first crumb ambassador from this event. Thanks. Would anybody else like to ask either
That's
Stefan
how
or
easy good
Nadezhda?
things happen. See, crumb by crumb. First,
Hi.
really, thank you, thank you.
Hello.
So Peter, definitely give a game to them
I'm
too.
giving the game to Lynn as we speak. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. What time is it there? What is it in the morning or in the evening? What time is it there? 6 o'clock in the
Did you hear the question?
No, that wasn't the question.
Oh, but he was could you hear? Michael was asking, what time is it in Sofia?
In Sofia, it's 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Okay.
Can you elaborate a little?
12 noon here.
Can you
I just realized something about the game. If any one of you wants to promote the game in your community or country or network of organizations, that's even the easiest thing we can do, or you could do to help us, because you would also take a percentage from each sale and you could be the promoter, distributor. That's the best way we can distribute the methods.
Oh, I saw some heads poke up when you said the percentage of sale. That was all of a sudden a light went off here in the room. Okay, Michael still has a question for you.
Yes. Can you elaborate on the project that you did in Trenton and how you enlisted the group there and what they're doing with? I take it you built an oven and that's why you had the brick making machine. Where was it built and how is it being used now?
So in Trenton, there is a festival that happens every year. It's a big art festival. I forgot the name. I think it's just Trenton Art Festival. And that's where massive, take Lyubov away so I can explain. And that's where the whole community comes together, really. It's just a big space. It's something like, I don't know how to call it, construction halls. There were some sort of exhibition halls. I think it used to be some sort of a factory in the past. And that's where we did the first events of community baking, and that's when people expressed desire to actually have an oven. And we have already had the little brick oven press in it. So I just have to connect you to the organization that is now using the mobile bread house, and they will really tell you more about how it keeps on being used, how often, because I receive news from them every 2 or 3 months. But I think there must be events even more often than that. But even every 2 or 3 months is okay, as long as the community gets together. So if you want, I just have to give you the Skype. Maybe through Peter, you can just write to me, or on the website Bread Houses Network, is my email address, and I'll just connect you if you're more interested.
Thanks. We have another question over here.
Hi, I'm Salma, and I'm originally from Brazil. I grew up with an autistic brother, and my question is about the nutritional standpoints. A lot of doctors in Brazil that treat disabled kids tend to tell parents to stay away from bread and gluten, especially autistic children that have a little bit more in the hyperbole of mood swings. So do you guys, when you work with the disabled groups, if you work with the nutritional standpoint and the education that maybe it's not the gluten, it's just, as Wolfgang was saying, is like the whole grains and the introduction of more grains into their diet?
Mm. In Bulgaria, the gluten-free problem hasn't really risen to such a, I don't know, popularity, let's say, as in the United States, or now I understand in Brazil as well. I'm just not sure if really there is no such gluten problems, or we haven't noticed them. But when we work with autistic children, and we actually do a lot, we have a few organizations that bring children regularly to us. We really make more, we pay more attention to the actual effects of bread making, because at the beginning they're very scared of touching the dough or touching even just the flour, because there's a problem. It's called sensorial deprivation. But the beautiful thing is that once they overcome the sensorial deprivation, so the fear of touching something kind of fluffy, and you don't know what's going to come out of it, and it's also sticky, then they love it. They love bread making, and it really helps them not only focus but even develop communication skills, because when they're making bread, they're more free to open up to talk. And that's when we create the stories together. Everybody creates a shape or a symbol, and we create stories. So for autism, it's extremely helpful. But you just have to follow the method quite a few times until they are willing to work with the dough. And then there's just wonderful effects specifically on autism. So maybe you should just try the game with
Yeah.
the.
Would you like to take one of the games back with you? All right. We're taking one to Brazil. And who, you have some people working in Brazil, in Brasilia, right? Did you say somebody in Brasilia? Maybe you
Yes,
can connect
Brasilia.
with the people there too, and see if you can kind of connect the dots
Yes.
in that part of the world. All right. Any final questions for and we want to get Love back in the picture, and Stefan, we want you both in there. We want to be able to say goodbye, and we want to leave everybody with this lasting image of you and your family, and and thank you so much for your work, for what you're doing, using bread as a tool for personal transformation within your community and for community building. Nadezhda, Stefan, and Love, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Okay, thanks. We're gonna go ahead and disconnect the Skype, and I'll call you after the symposium's over, and we'll talk some more. But thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. So I'm so glad we were able to add this part to our symposium. I just think, there's so many. If you've seen any of my talks, I love to talk about the multitude of levels, the multi-dimensional aspect of bread and how it works on so many levels. And here's a really great living example. And it's visionary in the same way that the work that Glenn was talking about, and what Chad and everybody's been talking about, is visionary. And they're visionaries in their own right, because they're out there. I mean, Nadezhda created something from nothing. And she pulled it from the past and brought it into the future. So it just fits perfectly with the themes that we're talking about.